Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight in today, looking at the updated Sorcerer class for the new 2024 edition of D&D.
That's right. We've got some interesting bits here, excerpts from the official Sorcerer class guide, the subclasses guide, and a couple of summaries hitting the key changes.
And our mission, really, is to give you a solid grasp of this 2024 Sorcerer. We want to highlight the big updates, the core ideas, without getting, bogged down in every single rule, just the need-to-know stuff.
Exactly. Quick, clear, and useful for anyone thinking about playing one.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. For someone maybe new to the class in this edition, what's the core idea? What is a sorcerer now?
Well, fundamentally, they're still the spellcaster with innate magic, born with it, or maybe something happened that imbued them with power. It's not learned like a wizard or pact-based like a warlock.
Right, it just is part of them.
Precisely. And that translates into being an arcane spellcaster who really focuses on manipulating spells. They use metamagic like before, but also this new thing called innate sorcery to empower themselves.
Okay, innate sorcery. We'll definitely circle back to that. So, manipulating spells. Does that mean they're very adaptable?
Extremely. That's kind of their whole deal, customizing spells on the fly, making them do things they wouldn't normally do.
So in a party, what role do they typically fill? Are they just the big damage dealers, blasters?
They can be excellent blasters, yeah. But they're broader than that, depending on their spell choices and their subclass. They can be great controllers, strikers focusing down single targets, utility casters, even healers, if you go with the Divine Soul subclass.
Divine Soul for healing, interesting. So quite a bit of flexibility there.
Definitely. It really hinges on how you build them and the spells you pick.
How do they stack up against, say, a wizard in this edition?
Okay, so wizards still generally have access to a wider range of spells overall, but sorcerers, they now prepare more spells than they used to, up to 22, which is a nice bump from 15.
That's a significant increase.
It is, but the real difference is still metamagic. A wizard might have the perfect spell for situation X, Y, or Z. A sorcerer might have fewer spells prepared, but they can use metamagic to make spell A work for situations X, Y, and Z. Fewer tools, but maybe more versatile ones.
Gotcha. A different kind of flexibility. What about warlocks? They're charisma casters, too.
Right. The main difference there is probably spell slots. Sorcerers get more traditional spell slots, meaning they can pass those leveled spells more frequently throughout the day.
Okay.
Warlocks still lean heavily on their cantrips, especially Eldritch Blast, boosted by invocations, and they get fewer, but recharging on short rest, packed magic slots. So sorcerers generally focus more on casting leveled spells more often.
Makes sense. Okay, so innate power, metamagic focus, more prepared spells now. Let's dive into those rule changes. What are the big things veterans of the class will notice?
Well, that jump in prepared spells, 15 to 22, is huge for day-to-day flexibility. Huge. And a smaller thing, but nice you can swap out a cantrip when you level up now.
Oh, that is handy. Lets you refine your choices over time.
Exactly. But the really big new feature is innate sorcery.
Right, you mentioned that. Tell us about innate sorcery.
Okay, so this is a bonus action thing. You activate it, and for 1 minute, your offensive spells get a boost. They become more potent.
How potent? Like more damage?
Yeah, it gives you a significant numerical edge, basically making your damaging spells hit harder or affect targets more reliably. You get 2 free uses per long rest to start.
Okay, 2 free uses. What happens after that?
At higher levels, you can spend 2 sorcery points to fire it up again. It's meant to be used strategically, in those really important fights where you need that extra punch.
So it's a limited use burst of power. Interesting. It shifts their power budget a bit.
It does. Less reliant maybe on just burning high-level slots for damage all the time. Now, Metamagic also saw some changes, mostly improvements and clarification.
Okay, Metamagic. The core feature. What's new?
Careful spell is better. If you use it on a spell that does half damage on a save, allies who succeed on their save now take no damage at all.
Oh, nice. Less accidental friendly fire.
Exactly. Extended spell now gives you advantage on concentration saves for that spell. Makes those buffs or control spells stickier.
That's a really solid buff to extended spell.
Definitely. Heightened spell got a major upgrade. The cost went down from 3 sorcery points to 2. And now the target has disadvantage on all saves against the spell, not just the first one.
Wait, all saves? For 2 points, that's huge.
It's incredibly strong now, yeah. A real go-to for making sure a key spell lands on a tough enemy.
Wow. Okay, what else?
Quicken Spell just has clearer text saying you still only get one leveled spell per turn, no actual change to how it works. Seeking Spell is cheaper, 1 sorcery point instead of 2, and you can use it on a spell you've already applied another Metamagic to.
More stacking potential then.
Sort of, yeah. And Subtle Spell now also hides non-consumed material components that don't have a gold cost. Makes it even stealthier.
Good quality of life tweaks there. But I heard Twin Spell got changed.
Yeah.
A lot.
Oh, yeah. Twin Spell is completely different. Forget twinning, just any single target spell. Now, it only works on spells that naturally gain more targets when you upcast them. And it costs 1 sorcery point for each extra target you add. So, yeah. No more twin paste.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a fundamental shift for that option.
It really is. It changes how you'd approach buffs and single target debuffs quite a bit.
Any other big rule changes?
Yes. Sorcerous Restoration. This is new and very welcome. Once per long rest, when you take a short rest, you get some sorcery points back.
Oh, that's fantastic for sustainability.
Huge. It really helps manage your main resource pool across the adventuring day. No more feeling quite so drained after 1 or 2 encounters.
That addresses a classic sorcerer pain point. Anything else, Major?
Well, later level stuff builds on innate sorcery. At level 7, Sorcery Incarnate lets you spend 2 sorcery points to use innate sorcery again if you've used your free ones. And more importantly, while innate sorcery is active, you can apply 2 metamagic effects to 1 spell.
2 metamagics on 1 spell.
Yeah.
Okay, now things get really wild.
Yeah, the combo potential opens right up. And the level 20 capstone, Arcane Apotheosis, while innate sorcery is running, you get to use 1 metamagic option for free each turn.
Free metamagic. That's a powerful capstone.
Very potent. So yeah, there's a clear synergy being built between innate sorcery and metamagic throughout the levels.
Definitely seems like the core design focus. Okay, stepping back from the changes, what about the basic chassis? Hit points, saves, skills.
Still a d6 hit die, so Constitution is super important. You need those hit points, and also for concentration saves.
Right.
They get proficiency in Constitution and Charisma saves, which is fantastic. Those come up all the time against nasty effects.
Yeah, con saves are gold.
For sure. Proficiencies are just simple weapons, no armor, no shields, very much a backline caster feel, but their skill list, excellent. They get access to all the key charisma skills, deception, insight, intimidation, persuasion, the face seals.
Fits the charisma caster theme perfectly.
Absolutely. And Font of Magic is still there, giving you your pool of sorcery points. That's your secondary resource, primarily for fueling metamagic.
You mentioned converting points to slots or vice versa.
You can. Converting slots to points is okay. Converting points back to slots is generally quite expensive, point-wise. It's usually best saved for emergencies, like needing an extra shield or absorb elements spell.
So budget those points carefully, mostly for metamagic.
That's the core gameplay loop, yeah. Metamagic comes online at level 2, and you get more options at levels 10 and 17. And of course, the Metamagic Adept feat if you want even more tricks.
All right. Let's talk subclasses briefly. Aberrant Mind. Sounds weird.
It is, in a cool way. Think tentacles, telepathy, powers touching on the far realm. Very psionic adjacent feel. Key thing is psionic sorcery lets you cast your subclass spells using sorcery points instead of slots, and they get a free subtle spell effect when you do. Very efficient.
Subtle psionics, nice.
And Revelation in Flesh gives you these neat transformations for movement or senses for just 1 sorcery point. Lots of utility there.
Cool. Next, Clockwork Soul.
Yeah, Clockwork Sorcery. This one's all about order, logic, predictability. Think Majin-inspired magic. They get extra spells from the cleric and wizard lists, often focused on protection or manipulation of luck.
Like what?
Restore Balance is a big one. Use your reaction to negate advantage or disadvantage on a roll near you. And Bastion of Law creates this sort of temporary hit point shield, very much about maintaining order and protecting allies.
It's a very different vibe from Aberrant Mind. Okay, Draconic Sorcery. The classic.
Still here, still strong, all about channeling dragon power. More durable than other sorcerers, better AC, more hit points, thanks to Draconic Resilience, which now calculates AC as 10 plus Dex mod plus Cha mod when not wearing armor.
Oh, Charisma to AC. That's new and good.
Very good. Elemental Affinity gives you resistance and bonus damage to your chosen dragon element. And they get a new feature, Dragon Companion, basically a free once-a-day casting of Summon Draconic Spirit, but it only lasts a minute and doesn't need concentration.
Little Dragon Buddy. Awesome. Last one, Wild Magic. Still chaos.
Still chaos, but maybe. Slightly more manageable chaos, Wild Magic Surge is still the core mechanic, rolling on that random table.
Right.
But Tides of Chaos, which gives you advantage on a roll, now always forces a Wild Magic Surge check the next time you cast a leveled spell. No more DM forgetting.
Okay, more reliable.
Chaos.
Exactly.
Ben Luck lets you spend a sorcery point to add or subtract a d4 from someone else's roll. And Tamed Surge, once per long rest, lets you choose an effect from the Wild Magic table after you roll on it.
Choose. Okay, that is a big deal for Wild Magic. A safety valve?
A bit, yeah. Still wild, but with moments of control.
Interesting. So for someone building one of these ability scores, charisma first, then con and dex.
Pretty much, yeah. Charisma is everything for your spells.
Yeah.
Constitution for hit points and concentration. Dexterity for AC, since you likely won't wear armor.
And skills. Lean into those face skills.
Makes the most sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Persuasion, deception, intimidation, insight. Plays right into your high charisma.
What about feats? Any must-haves or strong contenders?
Metamagic Adept is always tempting for more options. Warcaster is good for concentration, though con save proficiency helps a lot already. Lucky is always solid. Fey Touched or Shadow Touched for extra spells like Misty Step or Invisibility. Maybe Elemental Adept if you're Draconic Sorcerer focusing on one damage type. And check out those origin feats from backgrounds.
Good list. Multi-classing. Is it tempting?
It can be. A dip into Artificer for armor and shields is possible. Bard gives more charisma casting and skills. Fighter for armor and maybe action surge. And Warlock is still that classic combo for Eldritch Blast.
Sorlock lives on, potentially.
Potentially, yeah. Depends on how things shake out.
And finally, weapons and armor, basically none, right? Rely on spells.
Pretty much. Simple weapons only. No armor proficiency. Your defense is going to come from dexterity, mage armor for a base AC, and the shield spell as a reaction when you really need to avoid a hit. Maybe mirror image, too.
Got it. Spells are your armor. Okay, let's try and wrap this up. Summing up the 2024 Sorcerer. More spells. Powerful new innate sorcery feature, tweak metamagic, distinct subclasses with more spells. Sounds like a really dynamic caster.
I think so, too. The main takeaway for you listening is probably the increased flexibility and options. More prepared spells means less agonizing choices each morning. Innate sorcery gives a nice power boost. And the metamagic changes mostly feel like improvements. It feels like a more fleshed out, adaptable caster.
Right, leaning into that core identity. So, final thought to leave people with. With all of these changes, more spells, innate sorcery, the metamagic shifts, especially things like the cheaper heightened spell and the rework twin spell, how do you see the sorcerer's role changing in a party? Does this open up new tactical doors compared to how you might have played them before? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.